Chris Wichert built Koyo, a premium sneaker brand not by chasing cheap CAC or chasing viral TikToks, but by doubling down on made-in-Italy craftsmanship, Soho retail, and values-aligned collabs with creators like footwear influencer Rose Anvil and coffee maker Marzocco. As impressively, in a period where DTC brands are having a hard time, Chris implemented a major reset in 2023 by slashing SKUs and overhead and rebuilding with a lean remote team and found product market fit resonance again, and this time with profitability. Welcome to In the Money, an exploration of whether you can still make money in D2C and CPG. We follow the flow of money between founders, investors, lenders, and everyone else in the ecosystem to ultimately answer the question, is D2C and CPG still a good business? Hope you'll enjoy the show. Chris, so for the last 10 to 15 years, every D2C brand has gone to Alibaba, found a Chinese, maybe Vietnamese manufacturer, and try to disintermediate a retailer and sell more value to the customer. You've got a premium brand out of Europe. Talk to us about European manufacturing. Have you explored Asia? Why you don't manufacture out of Asia? And we're at the beginning of May here. How are tariffs affecting you guys?
Yeah, hi, Van. Thanks for having me here. From the very beginning, when we started Koyo, our goal was to build a modern version of a luxury brand. Like, we wanted to take all the good elements of traditional luxury brands, like craftsmanship, materials, and bring it into the digital age and build a brand that our generation can really identify and associate with. So for us, it was clear that even though most other brands were going to Asia, we wanted to go to Italy. We're both European, my co-founder and I, and we wanted to build this truly luxurious product down there with like excellent craftsmanship and really good materials. So that's kind of the foundation of Koyo. We have never really explored producing in Asia. We have done a few prototypes in Portugal. We have like a lower priced line that we're producing in Portugal, but really our hub is Italy, and like 95% of our products are coming from Italy. And while with this new tariff war that is going on, while Chinese tariffs are much higher than European tariffs, I feel like we're also very affected by the situation. I feel like in general, small businesses like ours feel this trade volatility in a very real way. We're not like big corporations that have a buffer and can absorb a blow, but we essentially need to perform like every month and make sure that we're getting out, that we're generating revenue and that we're generating our bottom line in order to keep the business and the brand alive. And with what's been happening over the last few months, we've seen increased costs because of duties. Our duties have gone up by 10% right now, which again, relatively seems small, but it's additional 10%. Then we've seen the US dollar get weaker, so that's an additional 10%. And then I think most meaningfully, we see a lot of uncertainty in the market and with consumers. So a very dampened consumer sentiment that is making it hard to pass on these tariffs to consumers. So we're keeping prices steady for now. And at the same time, it's hard to sell to the forecast that we originally laid out for this month.
Yeah, I know. Certainly kind of wreaking havoc in multiple directions. Are there luxury brands, competitors that do it out of Asia? I'm largely curious, I'm sure that Made in Italy has so much premium brand perception. Would love to just push a little bit more on kind of supply chain. And can you ever see a state where Koyo is, manufacturing out of Asia?
Now would be the worst possible time to go there. I can tell you that in the last years, we've been approached by investors from Asia that wanted to invest into our business. And the prerequisite for us was to move production to Asia. We didn't do it. We didn't do it because we felt very clearly that our ethos, that our brand roots are in Italy. Koyo is actually a play on the Italian word Coyo, and it leans on, this word Coyo, which means leather in Italian. And it goes back to our roots that everything is made out of leather in Italy. We do know, though, that a lot of bigger luxury brands are producing in Asia. A lot of them. A lot of the bigger luxury labels are producing in Asia. And we also know of some brands that are making only a few of their production steps in Europe and then are slapping the label made in France, made in Italy on it. But for us, everything is made in Italy from start to finish. And I think our goal will be to keep the production in Europe.
You've always had this very strong testament to quality. You were able to do a collaboration with the YouTube influencer Rose Anvil, who kind of famously cuts leather boots open to kind of show the quality. Ended up being a sellout collection. Maybe talk about that whole process of why you chose him, how you reached out to him, how you designed the collection.
Yeah, for sure. He actually chose us like 4 or 5 years ago when he ordered a pair of Koyos. It was in the early stages of his YouTube channel, I guess. And because his users asked him to compare Koyo to common projects. And he cut our shoes apart, cut common projects apart, and essentially said Koyo is at least the same quality for a fraction of the price. You should 100% go with Koyo. That was a killer marketing piece for us that we hadn't even paid for. It did really, really well. And over the last years, we kept the connection with Rose Anvil alive, and we've been thinking about doing something special together. So we wanted to do a collaboration, which is generally a way for us to tell stories and to get our brand out there. We typically do 1 or 2 of these a year since the beginning. And with Rose Anvil, we wanted to create the perfect, best possible white leather sneaker in the universe, so to say. So Koyo is known for its white leather sneakers. I think our leather sneakers are really the best in the market at a very affordable price point with a super high level of quality. And with Rose Anvil, we wanted to take every element of the sneaker up a notch. Like the most comfortable footbed, the best outsole, the best leather, the best laces. Literally every little piece of the shoe was supposed to have the best possible element. That was something that aligns with him, with his vision for quality and craftsmanship, and also with ours. So we came out with it in December and have sold through 3 batches with him already. So the collab sold out 3 times. We're going to come out with another collab with him later this year. But it was a really amazing piece. I feel like overarchingly, our brands are very aligned in terms of craftsmanship and quality. So it made perfect sense to work on this together.
Cards on the table. Your tech stack is held together with duct tape and prayers. If you're a brand founder or COO juggling Shopify, your 3PL portal, 3 different inventory trackers, and yes, that one crucial Google Sheet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Orders get lost, inventory counts are fiction, and your seamless integrations break every other Tuesday. Endless Commerce changes the game. One platform for everything. DTC, wholesale, marketplaces, the works. AI-powered forecasting, real-time inventory visibility, and integrations that actually integrate. Teams like Great Jones, Food 52, and Pattern Brands already made the switch. So ready to ditch the chaos? Visit endlesscommerce.com. Mention me or In the Money when you reach out and get 3 months free. Because your ops stack should be your competitive advantage, not your biggest headache. And do you think, maybe without prying too much into Koyo and Rose Anvil specifically, but do you think that this is a deeper opportunity for other brands to find values-aligned creators in a world where CAC is just so expensive and there's just so much noise?
Yes and no. So as I said, we have done collaborations from the get-go. Our very first collaboration was with a tattoo artist, John Boy, who at the time when we launched it, I think it was in 2016, had like books that were completely like full for the next 6 months. You couldn't get an appointment with them. And we designed a sneaker with him together that we sold and launched in our store in Soho, where he would open up his books. Everyone who bought a pair of the sneakers that he designed would also get a tattoo then and there in the store. And we had a party and an event around it that lasted till 2 a.m. in the morning. That really kicked it off for us. We've been thinking about collaborations as a way to tap into new audiences more cost effectively, for sure, because the collaborator promotes the brand's in a shared revenue model more freely, and like we have aligned incentives. Um, but also we think of it as a good storytelling moment, right? We pick artists where we feel like their ethos, their mission, something about them is very aligned with our brand DNA, and we want to tell these stories. Ultimately, content creation is really about storytelling. And for us, it's really fun to tell these kinds of stories. And why did I say yes and no at the beginning? I think the downside of this is, well, we're definitely not the first ones who have done collaborations. Brands like Supreme have done it super well, really scaled it. For smaller brands like ours, where we put a lot of thought and effort into each collaboration, it takes a lot of time and upfront costs, right? To develop a sneaker like this can easily take up to a year to come up with a marketing promotion plan, to really tell the story through different visual elements like video and pictures. It takes time and costs money. So we're not primarily like doing these collaborations in order to make money, but to expand our reach, to have something fun to talk about, and typically also get press involved.
Yeah. And that's certainly been our experience, and not to put words in your mouth, but from a purely commercial, if you were only to measure the revenue and throughput, because a limited edition drops and you're trying to get sellouts, if you were to measure the effort versus revenue, it doesn't always math. And so you have to bake in a healthy dose of top of the funnel awareness, which is then much harder to track. But like you said, it is a lot of effort. And then it's, again, in our experience, hit or miss depending on how engaged the creator is. Is this multiple posts? Are they kind of coming in, doing a lot of content? Or is this, you're one of 10 that I'm going to do this month, and, their audience can kind of see through it?
Yeah, and I think we've had some great learnings on that front too. We've done collaborations with really big people that have multi-million follower counts on Instagram and barely sold shoes in these collaborations. And our learning was, well, the target customer of that person wasn't really aligned with our target customer. For example, it was younger men and women, like girls and boys, like 16 and 17, and that didn't have $300, $250 to spend on a pair of shoes. So while we did get a lot of awareness, while we did get a lot of buzz, the shoes didn't really sell. Right now, we're really aligning ourselves more with people that stand for quality, craftsmanship, and like have a higher perceived value. Our most recent collab last week actually launched with Marzocco, which is an Italian espresso machine maker. You'll see it in the best coffee shops in the US and probably everywhere around the world. Our manufacturer is based in Florence in Italy, and they're also based there. And we came together to create a unique one-of-a-kind espresso machine Coyo Marzocco, and a unique one-of-a-kind sneaker Coyo Marzocco. We had an event last weekend in Soho in our store, and it was a great turnout. They brought the coffee machine there. People could pull their own espressos, then take it over to the bar. We would mix it into an espresso martini. We had a DJ there, and overall, like, really good vibes.
So maybe that's a good segue into kind of the Soho store, which you've had now for a number of years. Yeah, maybe do you think about the store from a four-wall profitability standpoint? Do you say, no, we don't think about it that this is really, brand marketing? Yeah, maybe talk us about that store.
So we launched the brand in 2016, and at the time we had a small office in Soho, right next to the store on Broome Street. At the time, it was my co-founder, myself, and two other people. So we were a super small team. And Outdoor Voices was in the space where we were in. They left the space, and one of our advisors said, "Why don't you guys go in there, convince the owner to give it to you as a pop-up? You cut it in half, get another brand in on the other side, so it's not too expensive, and see what happens." And for us, it really worked. With our price point of $250, $300, we found it initially very hard to sell shoes online. Now, not anymore, but originally it was really hard to break through this initial this initial brand awareness level. And we saw that whenever we did something in person, physically, it worked well. People would come, love the smell of the shoes, the touch, the feel, try them on, and leave with a pair of shoes. So for us, it was like a huge moment and our first breakthrough moment adding that pop-up store. We ran it for like a year and a half as a pop-up and then converted it into a permanent store and have just renewed our lease, have like an 8-year lease there. So we're here to stay. I think in Soho, it's a unique opportunity in terms of like the right kind of target customer, the right corner, so that it allows us to generate revenues. It allows us to be like a good outpost pillar for the brand where we can host community events and we can generate four-wall profit. At the same time, we've tried a few other locations over the years that worked and didn't work a lot before COVID, so that we closed a bunch of them during COVID.
And do you see that in the Koyo future, that like on the one hand, I accept that Soho is, kind of unique in the world of maybe it's just the exact right location with the exact right audience, or are there kind of green shoots from your prior store openings that you would potentially revisit in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Koyo has the potential to have like a bunch of stores across the world. Our goal would be to have a lot more retail stores. I think in the last 2 years, our focus has really been on, in a very difficult market environment, to focus on efficiency, profitability, and doing less experiments and focusing on what works. So we've had a store in LA for 5 years. LA is a tough market because it's so fragmented, and neighborhoods change quite a bit. So what we saw was working over time didn't work as well. So we closed it last year in an attempt to be hyper efficient and more focused on profitability. But now that we're in a really good place business-wise, we're definitely looking at it again, and we want to expand our store network in the future.
AI. Everyone's talking about it, and you're worried you're getting left behind. Meet RichPanel, an AI-first customer support platform that's built for one thing: making support faster, smarter, and cheaper for e-commerce brands. Something you can actually feel smarter about using. RichPanel combines a unified inbox across email, chat, and socials, a customizable self-service portal that customers actually use, and Sidekick AI, powered by GPT-4, which learns from your past tickets to suggest on-brand replies. Does it actually work? Well, with RichPanel's guarantee, you get guaranteed 30% cost savings when you switch from Zendesk or Gorgeous, 30% automation to reduce your ticket volume, and a no-risk guarantee that if RichPanel doesn't deliver those results in 60 days, you get a full refund. That's why top brands like Ridge Wallet, Jones Road Beauty, and Pella Cases are already using RichPanel to save hundreds of thousands in support costs. Time to start letting AI work for you. Head to richpanel.com and start your free trial today. Real savings, real automation, real AI that actually works. Speaking about kind of expansion versus kind of focus and efficiency, people spend a minute talking about NPD. And for a fashion business that wants customers to wear multiple pairs of Koyo shoes, like what's the right amount of NPD? You started with the famous white sneaker, you now have different assortment of footwear, maybe learnings and sharing the journey.
So also we've had our fair share of learnings. I feel like we've had a bunch of these over the last 10 years. We started out wanting to create like the perfect leather sneaker for the working professional, male and woman, so that they are more confident in their everyday lives, ready for whatever comes up in their day, that they can seamlessly transition from work to strolling through the city, to going to a date looking really sharp, like to traveling, to going to another country. We wanted them to be comfortable, confident, and like ready for whatever comes up in their day. That was kind of the premise. So we started with sneakers. Then the first few years, due to the boom of the DTC era, things were going well. We were still largely focused on sneakers. And then right before the pandemic, we decided to expand into numerous other shoes and other categories. We went into boots, we went into loafers, we went into slides, and we did the whole thing for men and women. So that brought a lot of complexity, that brought a lot of SKUs, that brought a lot of different things that you all of a sudden needed to understand and market to different people. And I think this is where we got it wrong at the time. I think we expanded too quickly into too many SKUs. We had like multiple SKUs that would launch every week for a period of time. And there were always bits and pieces that people liked. People would come back to the website, would like it, but the complexity was getting so big and we were becoming so inefficient with our marketing dollars because we strayed away from our core mission and vision of having the dress sneaker for the working professional male and woman and having like this massive assortment. So 2024 was a year for us where we hit reset, where, yeah, we can talk about this later in more detail if you want, but like we really like revamped the whole company. And as part of that, we started talking to our target customers. My co-founder and I had more than 100 interviews with them over a course of 2 months to really understand with this big assortment of why people are coming to us, what they love about Koyo, and how we can hone in on that in our brand messaging a bit more and in our product assortment. And the learning was that we should be going back to making shoes for the working professional male that they can seamlessly transition into different settings, that they're confident and comfortable in every possible situation, that's what we're doing best. So last year we cut a lot of SKUs. We didn't introduce really any new product for the first time in forever. And we're just focusing on selling through some of the older inventory that we had and some of the SKUs that we didn't want to continue. So last year was a year of really analyzing the business and honing in on what's working and what's not working and resetting us up for success. And now that we are in a much cleaner, healthier position, we're thinking again about expanding our product portfolio. And it's super interesting. Now we've come out with like 4 new styles in the first 5 months of this year, aside from the collaborations. And these new styles are all very targeted to our target customer. And every single launch has been the best launch in company history. So that's really great to see. And it feels like we're really developing product now for our customer that feels very purposeful.
There are so many brands right now that need to do this reset that you're talking about. It sounds like, you tightened the store count to focus on the one that was working and winning. You tightened the assortment. Maybe just talk about what other elements happened in the reset, some of the hardest decisions of the reset, and then maybe even things that you would advise other brands to do differently that you wish that you had done in the reset.
Yeah. I think it was in like early to mid 2023 when my co-founder and myself looked each other in the eye and were like, we can't continue like this. Like we had built like a business that had a great product, good reviews, but at the same time, we were losing money every month and it was just not sustainable. And the landscape completely shifted in the market. So it wasn't as easy to raise money anymore. People were looking at different metrics. They weren't just looking at growth, but they were looking at profitability. And we needed to reset the whole business and we needed to do it quickly. And the first step for us was really to understand our customers. So we did these customer interviews and decided on the right product assortment and SKU count. The second step, and that was the hardest step, was to part ways with a large part of our New York team. Because a New York team is very expensive. It requires an office. It requires like a lot of coordination, a lot of exciting projects to keep people happy. And we were like, let's cut all of that. Let's go to and try to build this as a remote company as much as possible. During that time, there were companies like Scale Army or Global Talent Co. that would help you find talent overseas that are very motivated, driven young professionals for a fraction of the cost that you would pay in New York. So that was a big part of the strategy. We closed our office. We had to part ways with a large part of our team in order to protect the overall company, and started rebuilding remotely, and also through adding a few agencies or freelancers here and there for marketing. Now our team, we're 5 people in New York. We've been lucky enough that the people that we wanted to keep on board also stayed on board with us since then in the last 2 years. And they've, I think, grown tremendously because they've had so much more opportunity and, things to handle. And then we have people in Turkey, Chile, Brazil, and South Africa. And that setup, while it was a little hard to get done initially, there was a lot of transition moments, a lot of us founders having to be involved a lot more and reconfiguring the processes is now working very well. I think now we have a sustainable cost basis that works for the size of our business that we can build on and now think about expansion again. Another big area for us was cutting marketing. So aside from OpEx, we cut marketing quite heavily, and any kind of experiments and projects we essentially put on hold. But I think our marketing budget was cut in half probably. And we needed to understand a lot more about our customer, about our marketing numbers in order to fine tune it. And ultimately we did so without dropping in revenue, which was a big success. And now I feel like we're at an efficient level in terms of our marketing spend again, so that we can add experiments to it again. But I think the core of this new business is efficiency, profitability, and we don't want to jeopardize that as we're thinking about growth now again.
What I want to tell you about today is Parker credit cards. Look, there are multiple subreddits dedicated to credit cards points hacking, and I get it. But what do entrepreneurs really want in today's market? Help managing their payback windows when acquisition starts ramping. With Parker credit cards, you get up to 90-day repayments on ad spend to help you on your cash conversion rather than having all that upfront ad spend before revenue starts coming in. Parker allows you to spend aggressively while still managing cash flow, including meta spend. So instead of hunting for best points or cashback programs, realize that the best ROI is to be able to increase your ad spend without hurting cash flow. Go and check them out. Parker credit cards at getparker.com. That's getparker.com. Parker is a financial technology company, not a bank. The Parker Commercial Credit MasterCard is issued by Patriot Bank and a member of the FDIC pursuant to license by Credit Card International Incorporated. Do you think that AI will have an impact, let's even say in 2025, on efficiency, or do you think that we're still 2-3 years out from that?
No, I think we're fully in it. I think we need to embrace it. I think 2-3 years from now, AI will fundamentally change everything that we're doing in business, how we're doing business. I think in ways that we can't even fully imagine yet. But I think for the last year or so, we have already been at a point where you can heavily leverage AI and integrate it into your businesses to be more efficient and to be more effective at the same time. There have been many areas where we've been implementing it already. It really started, I would say, maybe like a year and a half ago when we were using ChatGPT or other LLMs to draft emails, help us make drafts quicker and stuff like that. I think that was the first phase for 6 months or so. And now it has evolved in it really handling some mundane tasks. And I think it's only going to rise in the next months.
And is there a Shopify level top-down mandate, like the email that Toby sent to everyone and said, hey, we're going to freeze all hiring unless, it's AI first? Or, is it a top-down mandate from you and your co-founder, Johannes? Or is it more bottoms up and everyone gets, a lot of agency to play and shared learnings? Yeah. So is it more top-down or bottom-up?
I think it's more bottoms up. We want everybody to take agency control and really think about how they can improve the processes in their area through AI. We're a very small company at this point in terms of teams that is super efficient. And I think for us, the effects are not going to be that we're going to reduce our team more, but I think that we can get a lot more done with AI. Like over the last 6 months, I've heavily pushed our customer service team to like build a ChatGPT model where they can run questions and drafts by in order to like get to resolutions quicker and to get to a better tone with the customer, stuff like that. And I think we're now thinking about different ways on how we can implement AI enabled tools in our marketing efforts, and are seeing doing early testing there. And it's really everyone in their own area pushing as much as possible, with the founders really leading by example and like integrating it into the conversation as much as possible. And I don't want it to come across as like a threat or anything. I feel like a lot of people might feel like their jobs are in danger by AI, but I would rather think of it like you have to adjust and learn how to work with AI in order to be even better at your job. And a lot of the processing work just gets like removed and redundant through AI.
It sounds like there's been a lot of positive change in the last year, but if you were to pick your biggest win, what might that be?
I think the biggest win over the last year was definitely our restructuring, like really resetting the company, not shying away from making tough decisions and looking each other in the eye and doing the work that is really hard and really uncomfortable. I think that is the foundation for, the success that we're seeing now.
Amazing. Chris, always so great to catch up. Thanks so much for sharing the learnings with the audience. Is there anything that you're seeking from listeners? Anything that you're seeking from the universe?
Well, for once, I would love to be from the universe. For once, I would love to be in a more stable place, market-wise, with less uncertainty, with a more, clear path of what's ahead. And from listeners, I think our best ideas have always come from like casual chats with customers who cared enough to give feedback, or collaborators who reached out and wanted to do something and work together on a wild idea like Rose Anvil did back then. So we're always looking for creative partners who have like good ideas, want to do something. We're looking for candid feedback from customers. Give Koyo a try. Tell us what you think. Tell us what we can improve. And then we're interested in getting in touch with like long-term thinkers, whether it's investors, suppliers, collaborators, people that get that building brands take time and is a long journey.
Chris, thanks so much for coming on the pod. Can't wait till next time.
Thank you, Fan. See you soon.